A rainbow snake from Australia created the earth and got water out of the bellies of frogs by tickling them until they laughed so hard they coughed up the water? What? The water flowed, causing plants to grow. It also woke up sleeping animals, which apparently always existed but didn't. And if the animals behaved and followed the laws of the previously mentioned rainbow snake, they were turned into humans? Seriously? What the fuck is this shit? Hi y'all, welcome to Casey's Corner. Today we're going to talk about some really wild and crazy creation myths. I actually went through a couple of different ideas for this week's video, and I was researching mythology when I came across these creation myths, and I just had to share them with you. So definitely hold on to your butts because today is going to be a wild ride. Also, I have a special guest, so make sure you stick around. First, let's talk about what we do know about creation. We know that there was a rapid expansion at the beginning of our existing universe, generally referred to as the Big Bang. We've come to this conclusion through observation and measurements of light and the makeup of the current universe. We use how the universe behaves and exists now and basically reverse that behavior and essentially look back in time through measuring the speed of light. This is a very simple explanation, I know, but the science is well documented, and I recommend if this interests you, definitely go research it. Okay, so what about the origin of life? Again, there are some things we don't know for certain, but we've been able to come to some conclusions through observation and study. So what we know that complex life developed from simpler molecules, and simpler life forms became more complex life forms through the process of evolution. But the evolutionary process has nothing to do with how the first cells came to be on this planet. So how did that happen? There are several theories, but most scientists agree that RNA was the crux to building the earliest molecular life. What we don't know is exactly how the first RNA molecules developed. That doesn't mean we won't ever know. We just don't know right now. And not knowing everything is fine. But not knowing doesn't mean therefore God. Throughout history, people have tried to explain natural things using supernatural explanations, and there are loads of different creation myths. Most of us are familiar with the biblical creation story, so we're going to set that aside for today and talk about 3 of the wackier ones out there. First up, the Norse gods and a dismembered god bod. In Norse mythology, before the universe existed, there was a gaping abyss that was settled in between the homeland of elemental fire and the homeland of elemental ice. As the fire melted the ice, water drops formed Ymir, the first of the giants. Ymir was a hermaphrodite, which produced asexually through sweating. Ew. As the fire continued to melt the ice, a cow emerged from the frost and nourished Ymir with her milk.
Wait, what? A cow? A cow just magically appeared from the ice.
Apparently.
Alright. I mean, why not?
Anyway, she was nourished by salt licks in the ice, which, as she licked, uncovered Buri, the first of the Aesir tribe gods. Buri had a son who married the daughter of a giant, and they had half-god, half-giant children, Odin, Vili, and Ve. When Odin and his brothers were born, they killed Ymir, but decided they shouldn't waste his remains, so they cut up his body and used it to create the universe.
Wait, they did what now?
Well, they cut him up and they used his body parts to create the universe.
Okay. What happened to his dick?
They probably used it to make cats, because everybody knows cats are dicks.
It's a true story.
So the oceans were made from his blood, the soil out of his skin and muscles, the plants from his hair, the clouds from his brains, and the sky from his skull, which 4 dwarves were tasked with holding up for all of eternity.
4 dwarves! 4 dwarves held shit up that high. Mm-hmm. 4 dwarves holding up the fucking sky. Alright.
I know, I can't even reach shit on the top 2 shelves at the grocery store.
That's a true fact.
So eventually, they also created humans, a man and a woman, Ask and Embla. from 2 tree trunks and protected them from the giants by creating a separate mortal realm using Ymir's eyelashes. Next up, God, the devil, and the mole.
Oh, wait, hold on. Like Marilyn Monroe kind of mole, or what?
No.
What kind of mole?
No, an animal.
Oh, the animal kind of mole.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay.
This Roman creation myth begins with God creating the heavens. Afterward, he measured the space beneath heaven using a ball of thread.
Yeah, because an all-knowing God would need thread to measure shit. We all know this.
Well,
Is
yeah.
it God like a cat or something?
Why are we still talking about cats? I wonder how big that ball of thread was.
Probably bigger than Delano TV's nuts.
Why? So God asked the devil to help and bring him some clay from the boundless ocean over which they both resided, so he could use it to shape the earth. As God was weaving the string and clay into the earth, a mole asked if he could help.
So the mole just kind of and is like, "Hey God, can I help out here?"
I guess I don't really know where the mole came from.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. We haven't heard about a mole up until this point. Anyways.
So God gave the mole the thread to hold. Well, God got tired and he fell asleep. But the mole kept feeding the thread, so the earth kept growing larger and larger. In the meantime, the devil decided to try to kill God by pushing him off the edges of the earth.
So wait, now the devil's a cat too?
Yes.
Are you sure this is not like some kind of Egyptian thing?
It might be.
I mean,
But this creation story is Romanian.
Are you sure? Because it's got a lot of cat shit in it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Romanian. But because the earth had grown too large, he couldn't push God off, and it made a cross in the ground that the devil was scared of, so he ran away. The mole feared he'd ruin the earth, so he burrowed into it and hid. When God awoke, he sent a bee to find the mole, but the mole refused to return. The bee was afraid to return to God without advice from the mole on how to fix the earth, so he hid in a flower. I'm not sure where the fuck the flower came from, especially given that they're underground. Anyway, while hiding, the bee heard the mole talking to himself about squeezing the earth to make it smaller, which would create mountains and valleys. The bee returned to God with the mole's idea, and he liked it. So God did just that and finished creating the earth. Now let's head over to Africa for Boshongo's story. In the beginning, the Boshongo believed that there was nothing but dark waters and Bumba, their god, a giant white-skinned man who was alone. One day, Bumba got a stomachache and vomited up the sun, the moon, and the stars, spreading light all over the world.
What?
Yeah.
That's cray-cray.
So anyway, the heat from the sun dried up all of the water, exposing all of the black sands and reefs and formed the clouds in the sky. Bumba was still ill, and again, he vomited.
What fucking shit are you reading?
Creation myth. This time, he threw up a leopard, a crested eagle, a crocodile, a fish, a tortoise, and then the lightning, a heron, a beetle, and a goat.
The fuck?
Yeah. And finally, he vomited up humans.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The 9 animals he expelled created other animals. The heron created birds, the crocodile, serpents, which went on to make grasshoppers, and iguanas, which created animals without horns. The goat made horned beasts. The fish created all the varieties of fish, and the beetle all of the insects. Now, Bumba's sons...
Where did the suns come from again?
I have no idea.
This shit is just getting too complicated.
Yeah. Anyway, Bumba's sons finished creating the earth. The first son died while trying to create white ants. The second son created a plant from which all trees and other plants sprung. And the third son created the kite.
Somebody fucking needed to create the kite at the beginning of the earth?
Yeah, apparently they created a kite before they created all kinds of other shit.
Like, why the fuck did they need a kite?
I don't know, maybe they needed to play.
Alright, why couldn't they do the little circle spinny thingy? Anyways, go ahead.
Lightning, which was an animal at the time, became so troublesome that Bumba chased her into the sky, which really pissed her off and why lightning still strikes the earth today. Bumba then showed the people how to draw fire from the trees and explained to them that all trees contain fire. When creation was complete and humans could make fire, Bumba handed creation over to the humans. So there are a couple of reasons that I decided to go over these creation myths with you. First of all, they're incredibly interesting. Second, they are no more or less valid than any other creation story. The creation story of the Abrahamic God is just as ridiculous as the ones we went through today. The only difference is that more people believe in it. Well, thank you all for joining me for today's episode of Casey's Corner, and thanks to Godless Engineer. This is the first time that he's been home while I've recorded a Casey's Corner, which is why I do it when he's not here.
You're welcome, Casey. Thanks for allowing me to be part of it.
Yeah, okay. Make sure you go down and smash that like button and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, y'all. No. Molecular. The North gods? North gods, not Norse. North. Nope. It's not your turn. I don't know anything. Do you know anything? I don't know shit.
I ain't knowing shit.
Did you know we came to this conclusion, honey?
Well, I mean, I come to a lot of conclusions, but this particular one was not in my repertoire. Is that how editing works, honey?
No.
Like a piece of yarn.
Does that make sense?